Hello friends, Lee here from TableTop Bong. Thanks for joining me. In this video, I'm going to show you something I really wish somebody had have shown me earlier in my life than right now. I'm going to teach you today how to take ABV and make it basically as good as new, maybe even better. This truly gives your weed a second life, full go around a second time. I spent a little bit of time looking at this and going, why, when we're vaping, why is the weed actually spent? What's going on? There's a couple of reasons. Okay, if you're going super high temperature and you're walking the line and you're kind of, in that neighborhood where you're charring the weed, you're basically completely cashing it out. And that's one thing. But that's not how most people are vaping on a regular basis. That might be like a Friday night extreme kind of a thing, but I don't think most people are vaping like that on the regular. I don't think that's the, kind of protocol for a wake and bake or something, right? So here's what I realize. I realize most people are vaping, kind of middle of the road, and you cash your dry herb out when it makes you cough. Right? That's like, so why is it making you cough? What's going on? Because if you want to make edibles with it, the weed's still good, right? So what happened? What was the change? I sat with this and I'm like, what's actually going on? I hadn't really considered it from this perspective, up until recently. And I realized what's going on is we're basically cooking all of the moisture out of the dry herb. When we do that, we're also burning off some of the terpenes and things like that. So if we were to add, think about this for a minute, just do the math, because we could just take this weed that's already been vaped and we can bake with it right away. It's already decarboxylated, and if you do it right, edibles will get you super messed up, right? So that means there's still plenty of active ingredient in this dry herb, but we need to make it so that it's palatable again and kind of rejuvenate it. Bring it back to a state where you can connect with it again. So if we realize that we've removed moisture and we've removed terpenes, what if we put those things back? It's really this simple. If you think about it, this is not rocket science. This is definitely stoner science. So here's my formula to put moisture and terpenes back into already vaped bud. This is, in my opinion, one of those things that if you have a stash of vaped weed kicking around and you're like, I don't know what to do with it, I don't make enough edibles to make this make sense, but I don't want to throw it away because I know that it's still good, you are gonna save so much money after you try this hack. This is so simple, and it doesn't really cost you very much to get going on this at all. Okay, so first you're gonna start with a bag of vaped bud. All right, so that you need that first. So enjoy yourself, vape a whole bunch, put it in a bag, and then you can start. Okay, so what are we gonna do? We're gonna add moisture back. So here's my little routine, and this works like a dream. I'm vaping a lot of bud that I've already vaped, and it is absolutely top shelf in effect. Because why is this good for baking, guys? Because it's decarboxylated. Means it's fully activated. So when we add moisture and terpenes back, even if all we do, and this works, almost as well, if all you do is add moisture back and you get it right into that nice balance of moisture again, when you vape it, all of a sudden, you're releasing all of the THC, and any leftover terpenes, you're getting those as well. So it's a really great experience, and it hits hard because it's decarboxylated. So it's actually more efficient than brand new dry herb. So what I do is I take a couple of these raw, these are just little terracotta discs that you can buy from Raw. I'll link them down in the description. And all they are is basically just little pieces of terracotta. And what you do is you take and you soak them in water for a minimum of 5 minutes, like I've done here. And then you just take them out. And what I do is I take a lint-free cloth and I just take it out and I kind of, do this to take the moisture out, and then I just place them, the two of them, on a lint-free cloth, just like this. and then I fold it over so that they're inside, and I just squeeze it, because what I want to do is I want to take all surface moisture out of these two pieces of terracotta. When you do this, you need to soak these things for at least a bare minimum of 5 minutes. After you've soaked them for 5 minutes, they are holding lots of moisture. So then once you dry them off, basically, they look like this compared to this. So you can see there's definitely, you know, a difference. And this is basically like putting a moisture pack in the jar. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna just gonna have a little tiny piece of weed in the bottom of this jar. I'm gonna take it out. I'll show you in a second what we're doing with that. But what I'm gonna do very first and foremost, when I'm gonna start preparing the ABV for use again, I'm gonna take one of these two and I'm gonna just put it down. You just put it in your jar and slide it down to the bottom. And then I'm gonna take some of this vaped bud, and I'm just gonna scoop it into the jar, and I'm just gonna let it go right in with that terracotta disc. That's the wrong, there we go, making a mess. Doing this always makes a mess. So I'm gonna put in, I don't know, let's see, what does this measure? This is a 1/4 cup. So, you know, maybe somewhere around a cup of dry herb. And then I'm gonna clean my mess up real quick here. Always making a mess, Lee. Always making a mess on the desk. That's kind of my move, isn't it? All right, so we can move this out of the way now. All right, so let's take this dry herb now. We have the one down at the bottom. Now we're just gonna take the other one and just drop it right in on top, okay? So now this is beginning the moisture process, and I'm gonna leave these two in here for a total of 2 hours is typically, with about this much dry herb, using 2 of these discs, the way I'm doing it, 2 hours seems to be just about right to bring the moisture back. Now I'm going to close this up in a minute, but before I do, I'm going to show you how you would how you could re-terp this dry herb very, very easily as well. So what I have here is I have liquid terpenes. These are liquid organic terpenes from CanTerp. Okay, I'll link them down in the description. So you can use terpenes like this, or you can also use food grade essential oils. We are not going to apply any of this directly to the dry herb. We don't want to do that. What we want to do is we want to re-terp this aromatically. So we're going to suspend a carrier with terpenes from the inside of the lid. So what I'm going to use here is I'm going to use just a little piece of dry herb. Okay, this one is perfect because it has a little stem. See the little stem down here? So I'm going to actually tie a piece of string onto this piece of dry herb. Okay, so just this piece of string, and I'll show you how that looks in just a second here. And then we're gonna use a piece of tape and we're gonna stick this to the lid on the inside of this mason jar. Okay, and that's all we wanna do. See, just like that. Just tie that little piece of bud onto that string. And then I'm gonna open this up. I'm gonna take just a little piece of tape here. I basically try to set it so that the dry herb is just right on the very edge of the flat disc part, so that when I put this in, now you see how it just holds that up. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna apply drops of terpenes, which you could also do at this point with essential oils, okay? But make sure, again, food grade, really check what you're doing with essential oils. With organic terpenes, it's kind of, It's pretty simple, right? But with essential oils, just make sure if you're going down that road to make sure that it lines up with naturally occurring things in the plant, right? So you want to make sure you're using things like pine, if it's an essential oil for the pinene, lemon or citrus, right, for the limonene, things like that. You kind of need to just do a little bit of research. I can't really go into everything in one video. We'll come back and I'm going to show you some different blends of terpenes to get different effects and things like that, because you can craft your own experience. And if you found that, maybe weed is making you feel a little fatigued, this is a remedy, because what happens here, this can become fully daytime and there's no fatigue afterward, because basically you've vaped, you've completely decarboxylated it and released whatever it is that's doing that. So now when we add the terpenes back in, it just doesn't seem to have that effect anymore, especially if you go with things that are more of a daytime, right? Depends on what you want to get out of it. If you want a heavy indica, you can absolutely do that too. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to use limonene, beta caryophyllene, and what was the other one I decided? Beta pinene. And basically what I'm doing when I'm terping like this, okay, and about this amount in a jar, I'm using about 6 drops, no more than that. Otherwise, it's just too much. The idea is less and a little bit longer versus more and shorter. So what I'm gonna do after I close this up, I'm gonna let this sit with the terpene ball in it for 12 to 14 hours. Of course, at the 2-hour mark, I'm gonna take those 2 moisture discs out, and then I'm just going to put the lid back on and I'm going to let it terp for a good 12 to 14 hours, and then I'm going to pull this ball out all together, and this is completely ready to go. It's going to work really, really well. So like I said, all I'm going to do, I'm going to start with limonene. I'm going to put 4 drops of limonene. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't have the world's greatest eyesight up close, and I'm not wearing any glasses, so I'm hoping for the best here. All right, we're going to put 1 drop of beta caryophyllene and 1 drop of beta pinene. Now, this is going to be a very uplifting, and motivating terping. So now, see how I did that? You just get that terp ball hanging down there, and then you can just go and seal it up. Okay, now like I said, all you're going to do is you're going to let this sit now for 2 hours. And what I like to do at 1 hour is I like to just take and do this, right, just to move it around, let moisture get to everything, so that this is kind of halfway through the moisturizing. And then you just let that sit. So then you take those two discs out at 2 hours, let it sit for another 12 hours after that, and you have yourself an absolutely unbelievable blend. And you can do all kinds of different custom terpene blends to get you exact effects. This really puts massive efficiency in your hands, and it allows you to really curate the experience you want. If you're looking for complete elevation, you can create an elevating strain using your ABV. If you're looking for something that's more middle of the road, something more introspective, wherever you want to go, different terpene blends will allow you to do it. So I'm going to come back in, future videos, and I'm going to show you guys different terpene blends. I've been playing around with this kind of stuff for quite a while now, and I'm really starting to get locked in on terpene blends, effects, and things like doing this where we can re-terp and moisturize ABV to, basically awaken this completely and bring it back to as good as new. Honestly, you guys are going to be pretty surprised what happens when you do this. The vaping experience itself is absolutely top notch with this. You don't feel like you're vaping ABV at all. Now, what I'm going to suggest too, and I know some people will do this, some people will want to take this and smoke it versus vaping it. If you're going to smoke it versus vaping it, I would, instead of adding 6 drops of terpenes, I would increase that to 9 drops of terpenes. Add a little more terpene to it if your intention is to smoke it afterwards. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you, my friends. Smoking this should come with a bit of a warning because it definitely hits harder than regular smoke when you smoke it. Why? Because it's decarboxylated. I don't know if any of you have ever smoked a decarbed joint. I definitely have many times, and it is a far superior smoking experience. Just like vaping decarbed weed is, as you're gonna find out, a pretty doggone good experience. So I just wanted to jump on, show you guys this little routine. This is kind of the beginning of a formula here, but it gets you definitely taking all the, oh no, I almost forgot an important part. Oh my goodness. Lucky I caught this right before we wrap this up, or I was gonna have to do this all over again. So here's the final thing. When you're ready to vape it or smoke it, grab yourself a grinder. This is essential. So here's some that I've already done, okay? Take your grinder. Pour some into your grinder. And then just a quick kind of grind to just, get. So now you're like this. You have a whole bunch of fresh new edges to vaporize off of. It's, in my opinion, you're far further ahead, and I've tried it both ways. You're further ahead to re-moisturize and terp before grinding. I like to grind right before vaping, and you seem to just, I don't know, release those terpenes, and you just create new fresh edges, and the vapor is very thick. So I'm so glad I remembered to tell you guys the grinding is absolutely essential. After you've done this, give it a quick grind. Don't go with a super fine grind. Just, this is a medium grind. You can even use the same grinder that you used to grind the dry herb in the first place. It's not about, making it a whole bunch smaller or anything like that. It's just about breaking some fresh edges. And you'll be away to the races. Oh, I'm so glad I remembered that part. I also highly recommend give your strain a nice name. Like, okay, so the limonene strain I just did. What about naming it something like this, right? Happy and moving. It's an energy, right? So we're putting energy into the dry herb. So why not take and label that with the feeling that you want it to have, right? It's an imprint on the dry herb. It's an energetic exchange. You're just bonding a little bit more with the plant this way. And you'll find that it does leave an imprint in your mind and in your thoughts. So when you do vape it, you're going to feel a little more happy and like getting up and doing some stuff. So, save the strain for when you want to be happy and moving. All right, my friends, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this and got something out of it. Until next time, take care.